Hi guys, welcome to the next episode of Black Yarnin. Today I've actually got Darcy McGauley-Bartlett, who is the 2023 Victorian Australian of the Year. So Darcy, how are you?
Good, thanks, brother. How are you?
Good. Thanks for being able to connect. We've been having a bit of trouble doing that.
That we have. It's been a journey, AJ. I can say that much.
I know. I'm pretty excited of everything you've been through the last 12 months.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind. I think my head's still spinning. Like I sit here and I just feel like it's going round and round and round and round, and I'm just trying to keep up. So it's been amazing, to be honest. But
yeah. So for people that don't know you, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm a proud Gunai Kurnai man. My family is the Monter and Thorpes from Lake Tyers, but born and raised on Judgewalrung country up here in Bendigo. My substantive position within the Victorian government is the Senior Manager of Aboriginal Health for Justice Health. So within my role, I manage the health services, AOD and forensic mental health of Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander people whilst in custody, working with them around creating a holistic model of care and having that culturally appropriate response to clinical care. And I'm an Aboriginal health practitioner by trade and have a few other quals in there to get me to where I am now. And also a proud father of two and a bit, so one on the way, and my beautiful wife Dee at home.
Cool. And I've met you. I've seen your little kids. They're absolutely gorgeous.
They're full of attitude, brother. Like their culture's at the forefront of everything, but so is that little attitude that you'd expect with little young kids, and it kills me, but I love it.
Is the attitude from you or Dee?
Oh, look, I'd like to say D, but I'm constantly reminded by our family that it's me. So,
So, tell us about the 2023 Victorian Australian of the Year. What was that like?
Yeah.
How did you find out?
Well, there's a deadly person that I'm speaking to now, one of the people who nominated me. Thanks, AJ. But there was about 7 people who nominated me for the award for Victoria, and I got an email saying, congratulations, you're invited to Government House where we'll announce the we'll announce all the Australians of the Year. And I was yarning with Dee, and I went up to the Government House and this real flash lawn, real flash building, and I'm sitting there going, I do not belong here. I'm like, I'm not going to win. Like, what? In my head, I was thinking, what young fella, like a mouthy young black fella for Young Australian of the Year for Vic. Like, come on, that's never going to happen. So I was yarning with some of the other nominees, and yarning with some of the local heroes and Australian of the Years. Anyways, we went up and got our little certificate. Thanks for being nominated, blah blah blah. And sure enough, when they were like, "Can we announce it?" They said my name. And I'll be honest, I said a really interesting word where the governor of Victoria heard me, and she just sort of goes like this because we were on live TV. Whoops. And I go up and accept the award. It was pretty amazing. It was a whirlwind of the next couple of days. I had to do some filming. So we left Melbourne. I'd been there for work all day, but we'd left Melbourne at, say, 9:30, got home at 12:30. And I was back on the train at 4:00 in the morning to head back down to Melbourne. So I in my videos that they've got of me, I'm look like I'm on the nod because I am. I was so tired. But then, there's been some media conversations, and it's been really interesting but difficult, brother. Like, it's being in the Victorian public service, there's things that you can say and things you can't say. And I just said I just said how I felt. It's the reason I was nominated for my work within community at Victoria Police when I was the Aboriginal liaison officer there, and then most recently for my work in the custodial space around, designing the new primary health model and, ensuring that self-determination was at the forefront of everything. And, self-determination is a really big buzzword, but it's more about, actually giving prisoners a voice in the care. They're our patients. They know what they need. So let them tell us what they need. So, I sat down and just said, there's the prison system and the health system has failed our people for so long. There's no trust there. So it's about building that trust, giving them the voice and giving them the opportunity. And, you sit there and you go, should I have said that? Shouldn't I have said that? And, at this stage, I'm sort of begging for forgiveness later than going to check before I get it. But, yeah, look, it's been pretty amazing. Dee keeps me humble and keeps me honest because I'm sitting there going, I said to Dee, I'm like, hey, do you know who I am? And she goes, yes, you're my husband. You're nothing else. I'm like, yes, dear.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's amazing.
Do you stop walking around the house going, hello, I'm the 2023 Young Australian of the Year?
Not yet, brother, not yet. Dee's told me the trophy's too big to hang around my neck, so I leave it in my office in the background so everyone can see it. So just a subtle reminder.
Yeah. Have you employed anyone yet to polish it every second day?
I got the younger brother doing that for me. Nah, gammon. No, it sits up there and collecting dust at the moment, but it does. I looked at it today. I'm like, I got the Windex ready to go, brother. Ready to shine it.
So tell us about going to Canberra and what it was like meeting the other nominees for the Australian Award.
Yeah, so once, I suppose for people who don't know, once you win your state award, you immediately go in the running for the national award. And when we turned up to Canberra, we landed at Canberra, and I said to Dee, I'm like, it just still doesn't feel real. Like I was with the amazing, there's Belinda Young, Professor Frank Overlay, and Dr. Raj. They're all amazing people. They're our Victorian winners. We're all sitting there talking, and we're just like, oh, this is really flash. The two professors and doctors have well and truly been there before, but Belinda and I were like, oh, this is pretty amazing. We get to the reception, and the funniest thing happens. So we turn up and we have to register, let them know that we're there, and we get name tags. So mine says, 2023 Victorian Young Australian of the Year, and my wife says, Darcy Hartley Massey, guest of Darcy McGauley-Bartlett. And for the 3 to 4 days we were up there, I said, just remember, guest of, just shake her head. But the first day, and it was the best thing the National Australia Australian of the Year Awards team did, and the council did. But the best thing they ever did was they sat us down for 2.5 hours, and we did a Q&A with each state. So what's our cause, what's our values, and the amazing amount of excellence. There were 30 people had been able to attend, but 30 amazing Australians, and a lot of really, to be honest, amazing black excellence and cold excellence, like just amazing. But we were sitting in the room and I'm listening to all these amazing people, and I was like, how have we all not connected before? Like the amazing uncle and professor, Uncle Tom, who won Senior Australian of the Year. He's the man's footsteps I've been walking in since I was a kid, like, and I was sitting there like I'd met John Wood off Blue Heelers, like all starstruck. But, just meeting those amazing people and listening to what they've been through and that journey that we've all been on, like everyone thinks, as Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander people, we're advocates, we're clinicians, we're just amazing people. But when you sit down and meet somebody like him and you yarn with them and you just go, you've been through a lot. How the hell does it keep going? How do you find the strength to just keep pushing on? And, there was the other nominees for Young Australian of the Year that I got to hang out with. So there was Lottie, Tale, Jada, and Miriam from Tasmania. We all got to hang out a fair bit, and they're just amazing young people. Like Miriam is a pediatric nurse from Tasmania who was, she's 24, originally from Morocco, and she runs to raise awareness of racism, for mental health, eating disorders. Like she's just an amazing, amazing person, and treating her patients with that dignity, that yarning style. We got Jedi up in bloody Northern Territory, and he is just amazing. Like he's working with Headspace, running mental health sessions, teaching people how to have a yarn. Like you don't need to be clinical to have a yarn. And then Tale advocating for the Tiwi Islands, and the islands are where she's from as a Torres Strait Islander woman, is that she's standing there going, the closest hospital is 2.5 hour flight away, and just the amazing stuff that she's doing. And an ex-public servant turned advocate. She knows how to fight, like myself, knows how to fight the system from the inside. And then Lottie, climate change, like what an amazing subject, how to recycle, how to grow. She goes, I've got houses full of rubbish that I'm trying to get through. Just strong advocates and passionate people. So it was just, you just feel really privileged going up there and hanging out with those kind of mob.
Yeah.
So it
And
was
what
just
was the
amazing.
award ceremony like?
Oh, brother. Oh, they said, oh, you're going to have a light dinner. And I thought, oh, you've said light dinner the last few days and they've been huge. Piece of steak, that big. That's all I got. That's it. And I was sitting there going, oh, okay. And there was a couple of entertainers, and I was really close to the front, and I'm like, oh, this is really cool. We got to meet the PM during the day as well, so I got to yarn with the Prime Minister and his partner Jody at the lodge, and that was really lovely. And the Minister for Children and Youth, Dr. Anne, is just, if you want to meet a minister who is so real and down to earth, she's it. Like, just amazing. But when we're sitting at the awards, we're all sitting there talking, yarning, and it was so, it was just so different to what you're expecting. Like, they'll tell you when to clap, but it's like they didn't have to tell us at all because we're clapping at the right parts because they're all amazing people. But Hamish and Susie, who were hosting it, before the show started, it was so funny. They just said what they needed to say. They swore. They were like, all right, we've got it now. And then I went up to Hamish, who actually hosts Q&A, and I said, I just wanted to hear you say one line for me. He goes, what? I'll stop you there and I'll get you to answer the question, thanks. I said, like, it's literally what I feel like they should be told all the time. But it's, the award ceremony was beautiful. It was an amazing view, an amazing venue, and, amazing artists. But AJ, before we went to the awards, we had a lunch, and the lunch acknowledged, the 20 years of local heroes across Australia, but also acknowledged our Australians of the years of the past. And I'm thinking, this is pretty flash. And they didn't put a disclaimer up, but they were singing, the song "I Am Australian," and the first part starts, it's "I am from the Dreamtime of people long ago," and as they started, a picture of Uncle Archie come up and a picture of Uncle Jack afterwards, as they've been recipients before, and I ended up in tears, and people were like, oh, why are you crying? I'm like, well, Uncle Archie's music got me through a lot, and Uncle Jack, I was yarning with him a couple of months before, and you don't realize how much people make a huge impact on your life until they're gone. And I was sat there and I just said, watching how humble both of them are, for me, it's never about winning. It's not about the accolade. It's around those supporting people to, Uncle Jack was the picture of rehabilitation. He was the man of rehabilitation. So that's what I wanted to, I just took that home and went, regardless of what happens, I'm still the Victorian Young Australian of the Year. I'm still going to be putting the platform to support our men and women in prison. So it was just a huge, heartfelt, touching time, and I don't think I'll ever have anything like that ever again. But people reach out and they yarn with your messenger, and I don't think I've had more friends in my life that are doctors, obstetricians, pediatricians. So I can definitely call on them with Bubs number 3 coming, but just depending on where my career goes, I've always got these people that I can yarn with. So it's just been amazing, AJ, to say the least.
Yeah. So where does this take you now? Like, you've got this award, and you've got a platform. Where's this going to take you?
That's a good question, brother. And to be honest, I've been sitting there thinking about it for months and months and months, going, what's next? The goal for me this year is to get on Q&A and have a real proper yarn around custodial healthcare. But I think for overall, there's always going to be media interviews. There's going to be events that I'm going to be invited to. But the clear message for me is, brother, it's making sure that people understand people in prison are community first and foremost, regardless of their offending. And we understand there are some serious offenders in there. We need to look at how we can rehabilitate and support them in custody. We need to give them the optimum opportunity for healthcare. Because if your healthcare is not right, you can't rehabilitate because you're too focused on that stuff and just trying to survive, really. So it's around, supporting that culturally appropriate, holistic approach to care that's required. And just making sure that, our mob are in custody and they're safe. They don't have to worry about, are they going to make it home? So, for me, it's around pushing that. And that's sort of what's really next. And, I hope to meet with our state government at some point as well and have a really frank and open discussion with them around, what custodial healthcare looks like in Victoria from the grassroots up. Because by the time it gets to them, it's filtered, there's some information that goes through. And I think it's really important they hear from the people that are delivering the service, like they're all designing the service. So for me, it's around having that really open yarn, the unfiltered yarn. I'm not there to tickle anyone's fancy. I'm not there to make friends. I'm there for them to hear the truth. And, in Victoria, it was funny when we were up in in Canberra, people were like, oh, Victoria just seems so, they're innovative. They're coming up there, they're the state leading it. And I'm like, yeah, working it. Because as an Aboriginal public servant, you're a public servant. The public service forgets that you're the Aboriginal subject matter expert sometimes. And, we're community first and foremost. And I've been very clear since I've been in the public service. My community will come first. I'll go work in community if I have to. I can leave the public service in a heartbeat. So, when we were up there yarning, I'm not there to make friends. I'm not there to yarn. Like I was there to make friends with the other nominees, but the politicians that were there, I was there to get the message across. And I got that, like one of the things, AJ, is not many people are aware of these stats, and I'm allowed to say them now because we've released them to the public, but in 2021, 86% of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander prisoners had a high to moderate complex health need. So like that's chronic obstructive pulmonary disorder, it's diabetes, it's hypertension. But, when we break it down, 60% of them were polypharmacy. So how can you be 86% with these chronic health conditions, but only 60% with polypharmacy, which means obviously on 5 or more medications, but also 60% were in the scope of the review that we undertook had a mental health condition or were on mental health medication. So, people don't understand that. And when people leave prison, sometimes they can't get into a doctor. So potentially their treatment might stop. But then sometimes people come into prison and they don't disclose. So, it's around, for me, it's pushing the parliamentarians and the career public servants to really stop, listen and learn. I had a really amazing yarn, AJ, with a member from Department of Premier and Cabinet, and it was a yarn, and it was my personal views, and I just, pushed them as much as I could, and, and to sit down and yarn with a senior executive and then to listen and just talk genuinely was just amazing. Like, I haven't had that for a long time. But I think, AJ, one of the big messages I'm pushing out at the moment, brother, is to the career public servants that are sitting at the top of the realm. So those senior executive bands, come down from the ivory towers, come and yarn with your consumers that you're making policies about, because you get in the public service sometimes, not all the time, you forget about the people you're making the policies for. You're forgetting about the people that we're either going to ruin or save their lives. So it's, telling our senior public servants, come down from those ivory towers, come down and yarn with us. Come out with me. Let's go out and yarn with community. They'll tell you how it is. And the funny thing is, I could sit up in the public service towers and go, this is what community is saying. This is what we need to do. And they go, oh, yeah, righto. You take them out there and the community tell them, and they go, oh, I wasn't aware of this. And you're like, yeah, you were. I told you 7 weeks ago. But so it's around them coming out and yarning. And that's what Uncle Tom said to me when he was a senior advisor for some federal ministers. He goes, I'm not going to inform you. You're going to come out with me and you're going to yarn with me. You're going to come out and yarn with these mob. And that's the push that I've been trying to make for some time. And we've got some amazing executives that have come out and yarned with our prisoners. And Scott Swanwick, who was my director, he's now over at Northern Health. But any opportunity he could get out and yarn with our prisoners, he would. And he'd make change. They come up, oh, I've had this issue, back straight into the office and smash out the requests to get stuff done. Him and Emma Shield, who I work with, probably one of the two most amazing executives that I'll ever work with, because they just get it done. They make it happen. They go out and they yarn. There's a lot of public servants that could learn from them. Yeah. So it's amazing, brother.
What would you say is the major concerns besides health for Aboriginal prisoners in Victoria?
Well, yeah, besides health, I think it's that cultural safety issue, AJ, to be honest, and cultural competence. Is that some people who are employed in roles, whether it be healthcare, whether it be corrections, whether it be anything else, it's the first time that they've interacted with our community. So they either want to jump on the bus and learn with us and learn about the culture and learn about how to treat our mob, or they just keep treating everyone the same, which, in theory, it has its benefits and doesn't have its benefits. But I think unconscious bias plays a huge part for all prisoners, not just Aboriginal prisoners. Unconscious bias plays a huge part in everything. So it's around changing stigma around prisoners and changing I suppose for me, it's changing the approach. And Corrections Victoria have done a wonderful thing, AJ. They've did a cultural review last year of the organisation and the business unit, with some amazing recommendations that are coming out to be implemented. So I think that Corrections Victoria knew there was an issue, and they stepped out and they've taken that on, and they're doing some amazing work. And their commissioner, I don't know if you've met her name's Larissa. Most amazing, gentle-hearted person I have ever met, and same with the CV executive. Like, they're just so lovely, AJ. I could never speak a bad word about them, which is usually easy for me. Not so easy for me, because I can find something bad about anyone, but they're just amazing humans. So they're wanting to make that change for our mob, and that's what it's all about. Is if they didn't want to make change, they wouldn't be there. So that's really, really exciting to see. But I think as well, brother, is that the approach to care within our prison system, like, I've got this program at the moment. It's called Continuity of Aboriginal Healthcare Program, which supports Aboriginal prisoners at 2 locations, 6 weeks pre-release and 6 weeks post-release. And if we had that everywhere for every person, that would be amazing. Because I think where our prisoners are let down, if they're straight release, where's the support? So, and our community services need to step up in that space as well, I believe, AJ, is that, our services need to pick up and support more. But I get we're all at capacity. So it's walking that fine line, I think, brother.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about you went to school up in Bendigo?
Yeah, I did. It was that was a journey. Yeah. Yeah.
And then what was your first job that you had?
Yeah, so went to school up in Bendigo. I went to Crusoe College in Bendigo Senior Secondary, where I met you, AJ, and it's funny for the viewers that are listening, is that I met with AJ in probably 2015, I think it was. And AJ goes, "Oh, what's everyone's career journey? What do you want to do?" And I said, "Oh, I want to become a copper." And AJ laughed because, "No, you'd make a great nurse, though. I think you'd make a great nurse." And I went, "Oh, yeah, whatever. Righto." Truth be told, my wife started her diploma in nursing that next year, and I was like, "Oh, this is pretty easy. I could do this." So my next, on muck-up day, the Bendigo and District Aboriginal Cooperative actually employed me as a trainee Aboriginal health practitioner, where I trained and I qualified, and practiced for a little while. So, it's funny, I left school, went straight into employment, and my career expands over 10 years now. Like, I've been, probably longer now, but, I've been in policy and advocacy and strategy since I was 14 years old, then became a clinician, and then progressed after my time at BDAC, treating patients, running events, yarning with mob. I went to VicPol, and Victoria Police is the Western Region Division 5, which is Bendigo, Echuca catchment, or from Gisborne all the way up to Echuca, across to Maryborough. Now, that role as a divisional portfolio manager and Aboriginal community liaison officer, that was a really tough role. I enjoyed it thoroughly. It was opportunity to yarn with our kids. I implemented the Aboriginal Youth Cautioning Program and the Live Without Fear program. So all with a focus on, keeping our mob out of the criminal justice system. So under the Aboriginal Justice Agreement, meeting our commitments under that. But it was the genuine, let's yarn, let's put Aboriginal justice back in Aboriginal hands. So the model actually, like AJ, the model was amazing. It was a Koori Court looking model. It was 3 panelists were Aboriginal and 2 could be just workers at the co-op. And we'd put a wraparound service around our young people to keep them out of the system. It had variant areas of success, but what the biggest success it was the increased caution significantly within the Victoria Police. So, it stopped young people progressing through the criminal justice system. That 3 strikes you're out rule was only sort of a verbal rule. It was never actually written down. So, getting rid of that verbal rule of you can give as many cautions as you want, as long as it's, victim centric, and we're focusing on the victim, but we're also focusing on the, in theory, the offender.
Yeah.
That job took its toll after 2 years. It, significant amount of work, but, Victoria Police has its own journey that it's going on, and I was in regional Victoria, and, it was a real big journey for them, and they come along. I had worked with some amazing police officers, and I worked with some very interesting police officers, and it was a very it was a journey, to say the least. Then I ended up here at Justice Health, and I'm now finishing my 2.5-year journey at Justice Health and heading across to the Department of Health as the manager of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander programs for testing and vaccination. So back into community health and public health, and back in the yarn and with mobbing community prior to them going to the system, but also just making sure they're right all the time. So it's been a journey, AJ. But one of my favourite things to talk about, and I love it, is how I dodged the system. Like, it sounds really bad, but you get into jobs, you're a young Aboriginal male going through the system, or a young Aboriginal person in general, and they're like, oh, you're not qualified enough, or you'll never be qualified enough for that role. And AJ, you'd know all about this because, you're qualified to the eyeballs. But I went, I got told, oh, you need a diploma for this. And I went, oh, I want to study diploma in government investigations. That's what I want to do. So I studied that diploma, and I got some recognition of prior learning. And they said, send us your work history, your employment history, and we'll see what we can RPL you. I went from having 1 diploma to 7 diplomas, having to study a couple of units, 7 diplomas in 12 months I had to study. And, I now have anything from Diploma of Justice to 2 business diplomas, comms services, project management, government policy, and government investigations. I was like, yeah, woohoo, go me. But then I was like, oh, I'm going to have to study a bachelor. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to do this. And then I applied to a university for the graduate certificate in public health. So there shows my knowledge. I didn't realise a graduate certificate was higher than a bachelor. So that's where I was at. And they accepted me in the program, and I finished my graduate certificate in public health and First People's Community Practice. Went, oh, shit, what's next for me? So what's next, AJ, for my study is I'm going to do my Masters of Indigenous Health this year. Oh. So working full time, 3 kids plus studying, just make a rod for my own back, really. But it's that taking that journey. And Dee goes to me, oh, well, when is enough going to be enough? I said, well, go ask AJ that question, because I don't know if he's going to be able to answer it. So if he can't answer it, I can't. So yeah, it's it's our mob have the skills. We might not have the time to study, but there's options, and it's all about finding those options, and the system can work for every single one. But I will say I've had to pay for every single qualification. I wish I had those deadly scholarships that are out there, but I had to pay for every single one of them.
And congratulations on your wall of diplomas. That
I know it's all flash all here. No. Yeah, so it's been amazing.
With a new kid and coming and more awards and more qualifications, do you need a bigger house?
Yeah, that's the goal. That's the plan. So we're in a 3-bedroom at the moment, and with the rental crisis, AJ, I've just sat there and I've gone, it's time to buy. So we've looked at some amazing properties. I want that traditional property with a nice big deck out the front. I can sit there on my rocking chair and my coffee in the morning, and Dee just goes, you're not 100. Let's just get something. But that's the goal. I did say to Dee, we were looking at a property a little while ago, and I said, oh, this would be amazing for my certificates, my awards, my little office. And she goes, you're dreaming, buddy. But with the extra kids on the way, this is what it's all about, AJ. It's about showing the kids that, for the viewers, I come from a home that was entrenched in alcohol and substance abuse and domestic violence, being a survivor of childhood family violence. Then I went into a kinship placement with my grandmother, who just raised me amazing. Like, look how deadly this house is. Like, I still work from my nan's place. That's how deadly it is. Like, I live away, but I always come back to work here. But if I didn't have my nan, I wouldn't be here. And to show my kids that regardless of where you come from, you can actually achieve something. So, myself and my cousin and a couple of my cousins, we're that generational change of, which is, it sounds weird me saying it because people tell you all the time, and it feels weird you saying it yourself, is that generational change of employment, education, and, future. So it's just amazing to sit there and go, we could change a generation. This is amazing. So yeah, it's all huge, AJ. It's lots of responsibility for a 24-year-old. So
and you just mentioned you're having a 3rd kid.
Mm.
So go back to when you first became a dad. How exciting was that? Yeah,
it was frightening, AJ, to be honest. I was a Aboriginal health practitioner. I had there was some stuff happening at the co-op, so I was so stressed. And Dee comes into the office, and she goes, "I'm pregnant," and I went pale white. I was, 18, 19. I thought I was 19. Whoops. I was 19, and she comes up and she, my wife said she's pregnant, or my partner at the time, and I was freaking out. I'm like, what am I going to do? I can't do this. I don't know what to do. The pregnancy was really tough. The birth was even tougher for my wife. It was a really emotional roller coaster from a birth perspective. And then the next day, I got to hold my son that night, but the next day I held my son, and it was a different kind of love. You knew nothing was ever going to come and hurt my children. And then we went to Queensland, and Hudson was older. Me and my wife got married. I say older. We were 20, and Hudson was, Hudson was like 1. But anyway, so Hudson was getting older. Dee and I were, we were wanting another baby. We were going for our daughter. That's what the plan was. But my wife being 20, 21, getting told by her obstetrician that good luck, you're not going to have any more children. You'll have to go on treatment. And so, we paid for treatment, and surprise, surprise, Dee fell pregnant with Addison. And that was a different feeling. That was an excitement because we'd been trying and we'd been excited. And then we found out it was a girl. It was just amazing. And when I held my daughter for the first time, that's a different love. That's a father and daughter bond that will never break. And I don't think she can do any wrong in my eyes. Like Dee says it to me all the time. She's got you wrapped around her little finger. And I said, yep, I will happily admit she does. She is my world as well as my son. When Dee told me about this baby, Dee was booked in for a hysterectomy, like for January this year. That they were telling her, no more babies, you're done. We've done a surgery. No way. We're like, whatever, cool, no problems, no baby, no problems, whatever. Third baby, she's pregnant. She tells me, and I go white again. And I stand there with my head in my hands, looking at the pregnancy test, going, oh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And Dee goes, what do you mean, what are we going to do? We're fine. We've got 2 kids. We've got the third one. What's the problem? And I'm like, I don't know what the problem is, but there's something there. And it was just that fear of now there's 3. Instead of when you're out in public, you've got 1 on each hand. It's now the third one. So now I'm going to have to go out every time they go out. So those early mornings, get ups again. And but, it's an exciting time, AJ. You bring new life into the world, and, potentially my kids could be the first Aboriginal Prime Minister or Premier, you sit there and think of that. I want to try and get that title probably before them, but if I can't make it, it is what it is.
Well, you're setting the bar pretty high, man. You're setting the bar pretty high for them.
Oh, 100%. And I have actually, haven't I? My son, AJ, this will make you laugh. When they were watching the National Awards the other night, and I rang him before and I rang him after, but he sat there and he's telling his sister, shh, I want to watch Dad. And the fact that, his dad's on TV is an amazing thing to begin with. Like, that's just huge for him. But when I didn't win, he sort of put his head in his hands. He had a bit of a cry and he said, nah, I don't think that was the real awards because Dad didn't win. And I rang him that night and he goes, are you okay, Dad? I said, baby, this is what it's all about. I said, win, lose, we're still all winners. We're making some really good change. And it was a great learning lesson for him. Anyways, I come home and he's going, nah, didn't win. You didn't like it. It's not the real awards. So I brought him into my office. I gave him my trophy and I said, look, Daddy did win. And he was so excited. And I said, there's some things, like son, there's some things in life where you win, you lose. But the best thing is you're not really losing because you're still making that change for mob. What's a trophy? What's a medal? What's any of that stuff? We're making change. And that's what it's all about. And, he's 5 now. He starts school in 8 days, AJ. So time's flown. But when he was at kinder, and a young non-Aboriginal girl come up to him, and when he said they were talking about our culture and they did their acknowledgement of country every morning, and he goes, I'm Aboriginal, and she goes, no, you're not, you're white. And they were 4-year-old kids, but my son turned around and went, yes, I am. I'm Gunai Kurnai. Just asked my dad. This is our land. This is our earth. This is this. A 4-year-old kid saying that. So I know as an Aboriginal man, as a father, that I'm helping my son with his culture. And he's not into the dance. He's not into the music. But then you look at my daughter. If everyone goes on my LinkedIn, they'll see a video of my daughter dancing. Like, we were in there Uncle Dave Dryden taught us some deadly dance moves. So when we were out at the prison locations for events, it's, break out with Uncle Dave. So he does all these dance moves, and I was doing them with my daughter, doing all these moves, and she starts doing them and dancing. And, it's about culture. It's our community. So whether it's dancing, whether it's yarning, it's stories. Like my son can tell you the story about the gossip bird, the willy wagtail, any day of the week. He can talk about our culture, our community. Do you think he can write his name? No, he can't, but that's okay. I'm okay with that because he can do everything else. So, it's you take some, you win some, you lose some. But for him, it was that great learning lesson, and history for him is that it doesn't matter whether you got some certificates on your wall, whether you got some medals and trophies. If you're making change to better our community, or you're making change to benefit other individuals, that's a huge step in the right direction. And for me, it's setting up my retirement. So for them, they're going to earn $500,000 a year, and I can retire comfortably. So they can pay for my retirement village.
And you've got to be nice to them, because they get to choose the nursing home placement that you get to go to too.
100%. And look, I feel Hudson will say what I used to say to my nan when I was little. I said, why do I need to send you to a nursing home now? We've got lots of prisons. I used to say that when I was like 13, 14. And then just as I get older, I'm like, oh, that's so morbid. You can't say that. But, I'm happy for them to pick whatever retirement home it is, as long as it's with all the flash people. Yeah.
I always say that, look, I've won awards too, but it's so hard. They're not for me, they're for the community. And it's sometimes hard for people to understand that what we do is not just for us, but it's for the community. It's for my kids. It's for my grandkids. And hearing Aboriginal people say that, I don't always understand if non-Indigenous people kind of get that concept.
I don't think they do, brother. And like I said that at work. When I come into work, it was funny. So the day after coming to work, my boss had put up all these decorations in my office. Like I had a little office in the corner, and he put up all these decorations, and congratulations. And we had a lunch, and I said, this award wasn't for me. This is for every single Aboriginal person in custody. This is for every single Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander person we've lost along the way. But it's for every Aboriginal person making the change. And they were just like, take the credit, Darcy. I'm like, no, because it's not about that. It's about our mob. So, and when I was saying that to my wife, Dee goes, exact words were, I hope it's for the mob, because that trophy ain't going up in our house. So, she keeps me really humbled to remind me that, it's never about me. It's always about mob. So, our mob got a platform. Our mob in the Victorian prison system got a platform on national television, and to talk about some of, with our system, let's be real, AJ, it's horrible. Our system's horrible. It's been against our people since the creation of it. And, 527 Aboriginal people have died in custody since the 1991 Royal Commission into Aboriginal Deaths in Custody. So, when you think realistically about it, is our system fails our community. So when we win awards for this stuff, we can talk about the amazing stuff we're about to do. So like this year, AJ, one of the big things in the Victorian prison system is the Aboriginal Health Check for the first time is being implemented in the prison system. We are employing trainee Aboriginal health practitioners and workers. So we're going to build a workforce to really address the need. Now, will that stop Aboriginal passings in custody? No, it won't. Let's be real, it won't. But what it can do, it can raise awareness, it can address some of the need, it can address the gaps that we have within our system, and show our clinicians in the prison system something they might not have been taught before. And it's the power of listening, it's the power of yarning. It's around, not hello patient 12795. It's hello, Mr. Williams, how are you today? How can we do this? What can we do for you? It's that, that patient-centered care that in general practice, we do every single day. Most hospitals really try and practice, but let's be honest, on night shift, I'm exhausted. I'm not thinking about that all the time. So, it's around training our nurses and training our doctors for that cultural capacity. So this year is going to be the year of innovation for the next 3-4 years. Let's see what it can bring. And it's sad that I'm stepping away from that, brother, to go back in the community. but I've brought it up to where it needs to be. And now it's time to hand over the reins and give there's 2 amazing Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people and 2 non-Aboriginal people the amazing opportunity to go on that journey together to create change for our mob. And I built this system. I built the Aboriginal Health team. I built the specifications. I built all of that. Now, you'll find that I said I built all that. But the flip side of that is I built all of that with the voice of our mob in prison. They told me, I just put it on a document. It's all about changing the way we do things. So I really wish the amazing Aboriginal Health team all the best in their future. And I'm always going to be a phone call away. Let's be honest, I'm love a yarn, as you can tell. But I think as well, it's just about, for our system, it's reform. And, when you win awards like that, brother, it's all about reminding people it's for the people that you're working with and for, not about you.
Yeah. Look, I know we're running out of time, but I want to ask you one more question, and that is, I'm giving you a bit of a platform for the next couple of minutes. What do you want our listeners to actually know or walk away with?
Yeah, brother, there's a couple of key messages. So, for our non-Aboriginal listeners, and, if you get some parliamentarians listening to this, brother, it's, us as Aboriginal community, I believe, are past acknowledgements and good intentions. It's time for action, regardless of whether that's in justice, whether it's in health, whether it's in education. Stop talking about it and do it. Walk with us along the journey. Trust your subject matter experts. The other message is that Aboriginal nurses and clinicians not only are subject matter experts in their culture, we're clinicians too. We're not liaison officers. We are nurses, we are doctors, we are allied health clinicians and specialists. We can practice medicine, we can practice healthcare. So, don't pigeonhole us into a space that, he can only do that. Like, I've written government policy and I have written strategies for non-Aboriginal people with a cultural lens. Now, don't just leave me in Aboriginal health space. If I would like an opportunity somewhere else, give us that opportunity. Let's have a yarn about it, because I bring other skill sets in my Aboriginality. So I think for us as community and non-Aboriginal community, let's walk together on the journey, not only in employment, education, health, justice. It's a journey. Come and yarn. Go and pick up the phone and give AJ a call. Pick up the phone, give me a call. Let's have a yarn about it. And probably the final one is, AJ, is for our, career public servants, career corporate mob, doesn't matter who, step down from your tower, come back down to the ground level and have a yarn with us. Yarn with the people you write policy about, yarn with the people that you're writing research about. It's all about yarning with people. So if you're nervous about yarning with people, go and ask your friend, how do I do this? And, your friend's going to sit there and go, oh, that's a funny question. But they're going to tell you, it's never a stupid question. Just ask the question. It's what it's all about, I think, AJ, personally. And, if you ever see me on Q&A, tune in ABC. That's if it ever happens.
You will get there. If you don't, Hudson will make sure that you get there.
Oh, 100% he will. 100%. 100%, brother.
Look, I want to say thank you for joining us today. Look, it's been an amazing 8 years or 9 years of knowing you. From that kid that was in year 12 at was it Bendigo Secondary?
Yeah, Bendigo Secondary, yeah.
Bendigo Secondary to the 2023 Victorian Young Person Australian of the Year. Congratulations, man. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, brother. I really appreciate it. And thank you for having me. And all of you mob out there, stay deadly and look after yourselves and take care of one another.
Yeah. So thanks, Darcy. And guys, I'll see you at the next podcast. Bye.
Bye all.